Are you feeling the heat? Guys, the Glazers are feeling the heat. Guess what? According to reports that are coming through, they do suggest that the Glazers are sensing trouble should they stay longer than expected. I'll tell you, they're already in their extra time now. I think they are beyond extra time, and trust you me, they have got to the throats of many a United supporter with the way they handled the Greenwood situation. Of course, everyone now is calling for their head. Everyone is saying that they should be following Mason Greenwood out of the club. Now, what we are getting, it seems the takeover baby seems to be turning within its womb right now. Something is about to blow up, and guess what? Hotspot is here to tell you what that is. I told you weeks ago that after Greenwood, the next immediate update should be concerning the takeover. Now, there are contrasting reports that are emerging. One is saying that Sheikh Jassim seems to be, his bid, his £5 billion bid still remains on the table, but he doesn't seem to be getting a clear feedback. Those sections of his camp do feel like they are just pending confirmation and announcement by the Glazers. They have confidence that they are actually the next owners of the club. They are just waiting now. Whereas other reports do suggest that the Glazers, they seem to be hesitant on selling because apparently they have not got a suitor that has impressed them. They have not got a bidder whose bid makes sense for them to proceed and sell. But they know what could happen should they stay. Whichever report of the two is true, I think for a fact United is going to be getting an update soon concerning the takeover. I mean, they won't take forever to come and make an announcement. You don't come out openly and pronounce that you're selling a club and take forever or never come back with a response when we know openly there are people who have bid to take over the club. But also, the Rain Group, the partners in all this, will also be demanding, for a closure. There should be closure to this. And it seems it's around the corner because it's beginning to clearly affect the club. The players have nothing to play for. They are not sure of the ownership. No one, the manager is looking frustrated. They are making wrong decisions. The club clearly lacks leadership. The fans are not happy, are clashing. So the Glazers might own majority of the shares of Manchester United, but I think they are beginning to sense the magnitude and impact of supporters of the big club like Manchester United. What makes Manchester United big is not the billions of pounds they have. It's the big fan base that this club has globally, and they're beginning to feel it. So, guys, I think there's one thing we need to do. We just need to keep mounting the pressure, the heat and the pressure on them, and I'm feeling it already, guys. Don't stop it. Keep pumping it, and let's step it up so that they pack their bags and leave. Well, that's why, guys, do I even need to go back and forth about why these guys have got to leave like yesterday? Because look at the mess. Every day another mess keeps coming up. They are missing the most talented Manchester United player we've had in this era in a couple of years. A young boy of 27, their own, letting go of him for committing no crime, failing to handle him. Then they move on to billing to all forms of players. Amrabat, apparently reports that are coming through suggest that he's growing increasingly frustrated and impatient because of the lack of effort and progress in terms of his move, because the summer transfer window is aging faster and doesn't want to be trapped at Fiorentina. He knows probably that this should be the perfect time for him to leave. So is United going to make him wait again, maybe until January? But also the uncertainty concerning the takeover is beginning to surely affect the performance of the club. You clearly see that these players have no one they are playing for. Not for Ten Hag, not even Ten Hag. You don't know. You feel he's trying so much for the supporters, but I think it should be beyond the supporters. You should know who your bosses are. Jose Mourinho at Chelsea would fight and do everything for Roman Abramovich. You need to know who you're backing, who the owner of the club is, who are you rallying behind. Pep Guardiola at Man City will rally behind, the Saudi prince. So that's the nature, of organization you need to put at a club for people to rally behind, to support and buy into you and support you. But right now the Glazers are beginning to sense it and see it that everything is dismantling thick and fast for them, that no one is putting in the yards for them. There is no direction. So they are beginning to realize what could come. They are predicting what kind of pressure would be lying ahead for them, and that is why right now we expect them to come up with an update concerning that takeover. But in terms of transfers, we are still there. We are still slow. There is talk that United are serious contenders to sign Ryan Gravenberch from Bayern Munich. Apparently, Bayern are only interested in dealing with Manchester United. They seem to have agreed to sell the player to United. But of course, those are reports that we are getting. We are yet to get anything concrete because we know for a fact United does not have money to spend now for any expenditure to be made. First, confirm that we've sold players in those departments, especially the midfield, where Donny van de Beek and Scott McTominay should be among those leaving, but also in the striking department, where Anthony Martial should be leaving to make way for a striker. Many talking of Ivan Toney, the guy who was banned for months because of breaching betting rules in the Premier League. So we are sort of a confusion, but at least for now, we expect in terms of players selling and buying, we expect an update on who we are selling. That is what we should get first. The moment you hear that we sold a player and United are still handling the Maguire situation, it's becoming a bit silent. Apparently, from what we're getting, it's becoming a little silent, but they are dealing with it. They are trying to see ways of convincing the player to leave, either by talking to him or frustrating the life out of him for him to just pack his bags and leave Manchester United. It's clear that Erik ten Hag is done with him. So everything in terms of buying players is all dependent on one thing: which players are we selling? That is what is halting everything. So that's a bit of where we are as Manchester United. So it's interesting stuff happening. It's I think promising. This takeover thing needs to be done the moment Sheikh Jassim takes over this club. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a Muslim friend of mine, but an ardent supporter of Manchester United, and he has for the longest time been telling me about this law of riba, rather the curse of riba. And the Muslims know riba, I think, as a bad debt or something, as a debt. And how United, you know for a fact that United is in a bad debt. We are in a huge bad debt, and everything we are touching now seems to be cast, perhaps because of that. And that is from someone who is a faith guy. And that's why he has hope, like many of us, that the moment Sheikh Jassim comes through and he clears our debt, we will be relieved. I'll tell you, if you remember, and why it would make sense is because if you remember when Arsenal was struggling with Arsene Wenger, they had a bad debt, and a bad debt will always affect you as a club. So if you deal with the debt, and when Arsenal sort of try to sort the debt, they started now becoming like a club that can compete, and that's what we are beginning to see now. We are talking about them in title conversations because they sort of cleared the significant part of their debt. So the debt will always take something away from a club, and that's exactly what we hope Sheikh Jassim will first clear us of and put us in the right books, and everything perhaps again will fall in place. But also what Sheikh Jassim would bring besides the money and the relief in terms of the debt is a character of a person that loves the club in terms of being a supporter, but also someone the players would want to play for. I remember Drogba would die for Roman Abramovich at Chelsea. You feel successful clubs are like that. Players do want to play for the person at the top of the project. You see how Messi dies for the badge of Inter Miami. You can see that he wants to play for David Beckham. So that belief in the person at the helm is so important. But you see clearly United players play without desire. They have nothing to fight for. They have no person to fight for, and you clearly see it in the way they play. So Sheikh Jassim will come and just resuscitate us, give us a fresh breath of life. So expect an update concerning Jassim and the takeover very soon. I think I told you from Greenwood, this is what would have been coming through next. For Benjamin Pavard, Inter Milan are taking him. He's not joining us. That one is gone. He's not about to join this organization. But we hope that Amrabat will be patient. There is talk, reports saying that he was frustrated because of the lack of activity, but we hope he will be patient because soon we might get updates concerning players we are selling, and that would mean we can proceed and bid for players to sign, and Amrabat is still top of the agenda as per Fabrizio Romano. For now, guys, it's over, but it will only be fully over when the takeover is over. I'm done. See you later, guys. Hotspot, subscribe.